Hello, and welcome to Tea and Cornbread, a conversation with Sean and Tracy. I am Sean,
And I'm Tracy.
and we are talking to you all that are 50 and fabulous.
And don't forget handsome.
And we want you to know that we want to get some education happening,
Yes.
some empowerment.
We want to grow with you. We want to learn with you. We want to see what you're doing, 50 and over.
So like, share, comment, follow, subscribe,
Grab your
and
tea.
grab your tea.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy day, people.
How's it going?
We have a special guest today. First, you are talking with Tea and Cornbread with Sean and Tracy. My co-host Sean is not here with me today, but I have a special guest. I have Mr.
Yeah, Kyle, Eric. How's
There
it
you
going?
go.
Yep.
Little things that people probably don't know is Kyle is our producer. He's usually behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So today we just, I had a conversation that I wanted to have, but it really wasn't a conversation that I could have by myself. As Kyle and I were talking about it and what I would be talking about, I said, wow, as we're sitting here, we're discussing what the topic is today.
Yep.
I need a second person. Guess who it's going to be if you are willing? As always,
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
my guy is here. So Kyle, what you do this weekend?
Actually, there's been a lot. There's been a lot. Shout out to my grandmother. Shout out to mom.
Oh,
she
yes, the
celebrated her
party.
80th.
Yeah.
Her 80th year. Her
Mhm.
80th birthday.
Blessing. That's a blessing.
It got postponed originally because of weather.
Yes.
But then everybody came out for the following week, and we just partied.
Had a
down.
good time, right?
Yeah, it was great. Shout out to
Awesome.
the Cape Verdean Club. Shout out to the family. Everybody that came. Everybody who wanted to come. Shout out to. We did a Zoom call during the festivities. Mom and Shy
Okay.
set up a Zoom call.
Nice, so they could
and-
be there. Yes.
Yeah, and shout out to Ron Hill of Ron Hill Media. He was helping me set up everything, and it was just we had a ball.
Nice.
Had a ball.
I'm glad to hear that. I missed that one, but sometimes we have a lot of things going on, but really don't have a lot of things going on, if you know what I mean.
Life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome to hear that. I'm trying to think. What did I do yesterday? I do this every weekend. Yesterday I did this. I went to the gym,
Mm-hmm.
and then I went out with one of my sister friends to
Nice.
dinner. So that kind of leads into our topic of what we're talking about today.
Yep.
One of the things that I was saying to Kyle on the way over here is how do we handle, it's kind of a two-part subject, being your own best friend. How do we handle being our own best friend at the end of the day? We talk a lot about self-care, about taking care of self, our rituals that we get up and we do in the morning. But beyond that, what does it look like for you? Relationship-wise, personal level, and as we were talking, and this is what led me to bring Kyle on, I needed a different not that I needed a different perspective, but I did need a different perspective, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a two-party conversation.
Yeah.
We started talking about it, like I said, last night when I was out with my little sister, and I had said to her, would you go out? Well, what happened was when she got out the car, I said, hey, if you didn't show up, I was going in by myself.
Yeah.
And she looked at me and said, no, you wouldn't. And I said, yes, I would. And as I thought about it, I've done it before.
Yeah.
Years ago, I went to the movies by myself and I went to dinner by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I remember telling one of my girlfriends that, and she thought it was the weirdest thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
And I felt some kind of way about it when she kind of laughed at me and said, why would you do that? That's weird. And
That's weird?
That's weird. Those were her exact words. But after she said it, and I kind of said, well, to her it was weird. And she's that's her opinion. She's welcome to it.
Yeah.
So that, I think people may be afraid to do that, I guess.
I think, to me, it's number one, it's a personality type. You know what I mean?
Okay.
For example, for me, I've always had like self-confidence issues. Right?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
So one day I actually had a talk with someone, and they determined my personality type was like, if you broke down the number, percentage, it was 50-50. Like I can be introverted and extroverted, and vice versa. So for me, I like being around people, but I do have a limit. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Okay.
I like
I can understand that.
I love being around my friends and family, but I don't constantly need to be around that kind of stimuli. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like there are
Right.
days where I just want to be by myself.
And
There-
that's okay.
you know, there are days I want to be by myself. I've taken myself out to dinner. I've taken myself out to the movies.
How did you feel about it though? Were you like you say, you're not a person that is like I'll say something. Your mom
Yeah.
could walk into a room and it's, hey,
Yeah.
everybody, how you doing?
Yep.
I get what you're saying because I'm the opposite, just like you. I walk in a room and just say, hey, how you doing, and go stand in my corner.
Oh, I will walk in a room, and if I know, if I know enough people there, then I get comfortable enough to want to go and mingle.
Yeah.
See, I've been taught that when you go into a room, you talk to people, but I also know that there's you greet people, you treat people well.
Definitely, when you walk
But-
in a room, you
But
you
there,
know,
but there's
speak
also the opposite side of that. There's also the opposite side of that too. Like I've been to parties that I've been personally invited to, and I barely knew anybody there.
okay.
So once I got there, my my energy kind of went from, okay, I'm ready to go party, because it was a birthday party for one of my friends I was working with, who I happened to know from like way back.
Okay.
Right? So I get to the party, and I realize, oh my God, everybody else is everybody else is like dressed in button down shirts, and here I am in a hoodie. And I'm just analyzing the situation. Next thing you know, my heart starts to go, my anxiety starts to go up, because I realize I barely know anybody in here.
But how'd you feel though? Did I understand what you went through. That anxiety set in, your heart
Yeah.
start palpitating. But once you realized, like you just said, everybody else was dressed formal.
Not formal. It was like
Semi-formal?
Like they were
And-
wearing like, some people were wearing dresses, some people were wearing button down shirts and jeans.
And you had
But
your
then-
hoodie on.
And I had my hoodie and my hat on. But once I saw other people with like more casual clothes on, and I found out that we did know each other in some way,
Okay.
I became more comfortable.
You felt, that's what I was gonna say. Did you
You know?
did you get to the point where you felt comfortable even
Yeah.
to say, okay, even though I'm not dressed like everybody else,
Yeah.
I am okay in this room.
Yeah.
Sometimes we put so much weight on ourselves that we don't know how to take care of ourselves.
And I think that's a societal thing.
Yeah.
That is a societal thing, but it also depends on where you live. Like, I didn't know that this particular party was going to have that kind of dress code. He just offered me an invitation because we worked together, and plus we were friends.
Right.
So I didn't know. My biggest thing was I just want to get there on time. Mm-hmm. So I got there about a half hour early, right? I got there about a half hour early. I realized that some people were dressed a certain way, and here I am in a hoodie and jeans. Once the party started going, and then people started showing up, I was like, "Yo, how
Yeah.
how you doing?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and he introduced me to his then girlfriend. Now they've been together for a long time.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? So
Nice.
once he started introducing me to people, and because we didn't really hang out outside of work. You know what I'm saying? So when I got to actually meet his people, it started to become a lot more comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think we have to remember to pay attention to self. We always
Yeah.
forget, like you said, when you walked in a room, you scanned the room, and the first thing that I'm not going to speak for you, the first thing that pops in someone's head is, do I fit in? How does everybody else look compared to me? And we need to stop doing that and remember, at that moment, you were the most important thing that walked in the room.
My thing was the older I get, the less I start to care about how other people perceive me.
Yes.
Because
I agree with that.
Because unfortunately that's also kind of been I feel like that may be a human nature thing, or it could be a societal thing. I don't know. Personally, the the older I get, the less I care because I know myself.
Right.
You know,
Right.
my journey has been one of learning about yourself because I was too busy at one point wondering what other people thought of me, but not because of my clothes, not because of my not because of my my voice or how I carried myself. It was because of my walk.
Okay.
Two things that people would constantly get at me for as I was growing up was the way I walked and the way I spoke.
What do you mean get at you? You mean people, your peers,
They
people
would-
of your
yeah.
age?
Yeah,
Well,
they-
children can be cruel. We know
Yeah,
that.
but then
unfortunately.
But I also learned that adults can be just as bad.
No,
They-
I agree.
they-
I do agree.
And that was the unfortunate thing because they were the ones that acted like they were protecting me, but really it was more along the lines of pity is worse.
Yeah.
Pity can be just as bad or worse than just overly protecting someone.
Yeah.
Because you're not really seeing them for them or letting them see
grow
themselves.
and learn.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
No, I totally agree with that. And that's why, too, a lot of times, even with children and grandchildren, on that same perspective as you have to let the children be independent and do their own thing.
Yeah.
Certain things people want to, as simple as making a bowl of cereal. As adults, we want to do it. But my reasoning for doing it and then realizing I shouldn't be, my reasoning was, I didn't want them to make a mess. Then I had to come to realize it's not that big of a mess. Even if
No.
they make a mess, they're attempting to learn, to grow, to be independent.
That's it.
Once you instill that in them, I think, too, that comes to, back to the topic of being your own best friend. Because
Yeah.
the most important person is you. And we talk about that all the time. You can't take care of anybody else if you can't take care
Take
of
care of
you.
yourself first.
Yes.
But that wasn't taught to a lot of us off the bat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Some of us for example, your generation into my generation was taught that once you get to a certain age, you should already know certain things. Right? Like by the time I was 12 or 13, that's when I really started watching myself. I was a latchkey kid.
Right.
So once that happened and we no longer needed a babysitter
I
or
think
whatever.
we were younger, but anyway.
Yeah, y'all were younger.
We were younger.
My thing was, and thank you because you're part of the village. We always had babysitters most of the time. Time when me and my sister were growing up, we always had babysitters, but it was always somebody we knew. It was our
Right.
cousin. It was one of my mom's trusted best friends, like one of my
Exactly.
aunts or
Exactly.
things like that. And then when she gave me my first key, right, that was my first real taste of independence. But they gave me the key, but they were like, don't open the door for anybody,
Right.
and don't answer the phone.
Yeah.
But they didn't say, unless it's me, right?
Yes.
So I would wait for the answering machine to come on, and they'd be like, "Yo, Kyle,
Pick up the
pick up the
phone."
phone, right?" And sometimes I'm
Yes.
like, "Is that
Right.
So
Right.
sometimes you have to be told because other times you're not gonna know.
You don't know what the next step is.
You don't know what the next step is gonna be.
I totally agree with that. And I think, too, I see a lot of young kids now being very independent. And I'll speak about my grandchildren. They're very independent. Growing up, the word, being fresh or grown, I don't take it the same way as I take it today. Because the children today are very smart.
Yeah.
Very intelligent, and I don't take it as sometimes, don't get me wrong. Everybody's going to have those little bump in the roads where kids are going to say something out of pocket, and you have to get them back on track.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, these kids are very well educated, very well spoken, and we need to pay attention to that and horn in on that.
Yeah.
And sometimes we miss that opportunity. I don't like when people call kids bad in their face because sometimes kids wear that hat. Because they when you tell a kid all the time that they're bad, or you're, like you said, growing up, they made you feel, adults even made you feel a certain way about your walk, about your talk. You feed into that because you become that. If you don't reinforce, Kyle, you're doing great. Kyle, the way you talk, there's nothing wrong. Your conversation with me is awesome. If you don't reinforce that, how do you grow? How do you learn from that?
Yeah.
So we have to pay attention to, and me and Sean did a segment before about words, how we speak.
Words,
The
and
words,
words have power.
words are power at the
Yeah.
end of the day.
Definitely check that out. Definitely check that out on their YouTube channel, and on Spotify. It's very much a like that episode. That episode I remember said a lot.
Yeah.
Because words do have power.
Words have power.
What you put out there is what you're gonna get. So
Exactly.
if you constantly put out negative energy,
yes.
just the negative, and if you're constantly trying to drive that into somebody's head, because we will now they say kids are sponges.
Mm-hmm.
You don't stop learning until your day comes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You don't stop learning until your day comes. Yes, kids are sponges because they're starting from the they're starting from the beginning. But the older we get, and the more we realize certain things about the world. It doesn't matter your age.
Not at all.
It's more of the question is, are you open to receive the information?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's not about your age. Like for example, I was talking with one of my best friends about this very topic. Now, I'm an editor. I have been professionally for the past 3 years, right? And sometimes my clients are a little older and not as tech savvy. And I'm not saying I'm not at all
No,
saying I'm
I
that,
get that.
but my point is, when they ask me, okay, so how do we do this on the computer? To me, it sounds basic.
Right.
Right? To me, it sounds basic. I don't always take into account the fact that I grew up with this stuff.
Right.
I grew up with this
Right.
stuff. It became part of my life from the time I was a preteen. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to take that into account. But sometimes I run into people who are my age who are not tech savvy at all, and they do not care to be. And my best friend who works on computers and stuff for a living, he said to me, it's not about age. You're stuck on age, okay? Because my thing was, I didn't like telling people what to do. It's like, but dude, he's like, man, you're stuck on age. It's not about age. It's about whether they are willing to listen to it and learn from what you're about. Because I know 70-some-year-olds with tablets that do everything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it has nothing to do with your age. But I was still stuck on the age thing.
Yeah.
And
you say that because I hear what you're saying, because I'm one of those people. And I text you last week and said, hey Kyle, I'm trying to share on whatever platform our next, and you said call me. I'm not afraid to say I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm not afraid to call you and say, hey, help me with this. We've had these conversations plenty of times. Yeah.
And because you've been doing this podcast with Mom for a while now, and I remember when you first started, just like Ma, you were,
I had no platforms.
You had no platforms.
Yeah.
You were like, oh, should I do this on Facebook? Should I do this on
Right.
I'm like, look, whatever y'all already have, whatever you're comfortable with, do that.
Right.
If you're not comfortable going on every platform, because it's number one, it's overwhelming, and a lot of it can be very annoying. I just got off Twitter for that same reason. But, you do what you're comfortable with.
What you're comfortable with. And
You know?
and I think that's basically what our conversation today is about: taking care of yourself and being your own best friend. If it just, casual in life, your personal life, business, that too, because if I wake up every day and I go into a job and I'm not doing what's best for me and trying to satisfy everybody else, again, I'm not taking care of self.
No.
We talked about earlier, our conversation started off about would you date yourself? And I say yes to that because I say yes to that for two reasons, I guess. Because I've done it, one, and two, because I am single. And right now I have no choice. So I have to have enough confidence, like you said, too.
Yep.
You have to have enough confidence to want to walk into a busy restaurant and sit by yourself.
Order something, order yourself something, your favorite, get yourself,
Yes.
and just chill out.
And just chill out.
And just take in the atmosphere. Now, I was single for a while. I've been in a relationship now for about 4 months,
Okay.
right? And what I discovered about my partner is we're both kind of introverted. So when we talk to each other, it's not a constant barrage of texting or anything like that. But
Okay.
when we do miss each other, it's like emojis or memes or something to make you laugh, right? We will give each other, we like giving, having our space. Plus, she's also a creative. So sometimes she'll be working on a project or something, or getting something ready for whatever her next thing is.
Yes.
Or sometimes she's just chilling watching TV, but we're still thinking about each other. It's
Right.
not. It's not a hey babe, like not like constant like babe, I miss
You
you.
give
right?
each other space.
We give each other space, and then because we do have times that we do talk, we do talk to each other, like constantly, especially especially like right before we go to bed. But we like to, we like to give each other opportunity to miss each other.
Got you.
And have things to talk about. Now, when we see each other, right? When we see each other now, especially since it's early in the relationship, there will be times where we'll be like just cuddling or right next to each other
Yes.
in silence, and
And that's fine.
we'll just listen to music, vibe out, talk about the song,
Yep.
talk about what
Whatever
what we're watching.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Now, I have a question though, Kyle.
Yeah.
Would you date yourself? Meaning, you're in a relationship, so this
Yeah.
is a good question for you. Would you take yourself out to dinner
I'm-
without your girlfriend, even though you're in a relationship? Would you go to the movies by yourself?
By myself.
Being in a relationship,
being
does
a-
that make a difference? I'm trying to figure out if that makes a difference, because I'm saying it because I'm single, and right now
Right.
that's my choice. If I
Now-
want to,
Now, a lot of times, like before I got into a relationship, because I've been single, I was single for like years, for like 11, almost 12 years.
Okay.
Before. So I have gone out and taken myself to the movies, and I've watched a bunch of movies on the big screen by myself, right? And I've gone out to dinner more than a few times by myself. And I used to joke, I was like, you know what? I dated myself, and I realized I'm kind of picky. Like I've dated myself because you're just trying to get to know, you're trying to get to know you.
Yeah.
Just like, mom would tell me all the time, don't make anyone responsible for your own happiness.
Yes.
So my thing is,
Yes.
I wanted somebody to enhance the happiness I already had and me enhance theirs. So it's not so yes, would I go out just by myself and and do stuff? Sure. If I wanted to, sure. I would just let them know that I left the house just in case.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I would.
I think that, and the reason I question that with you, only because you are in a relationship,
Yeah.
and I don't know if being in a relationship with somebody, and I mean, going back, I'm just thinking, when I was in a relationship, I did a lot of things independently,
Yeah.
but I didn't give it a second thought. I didn't need, there weren't things that needed a partner or needed my husband, to do those things with. And we do those daily, but I'm saying that to say, when you're in a relationship, is it okay? It's not even, is it okay? Because it's not a thing that you need
I don't
permission
think-
for.
No, it's not something you need.
So I
permission
think
for.
it's okay to do that. I think I just fall back to where I did it years ago. My girlfriend said she thought it was weird. I even said to her, well, when you go to the movies, you're sitting independently anyway. You're not really conversating with the person next to you about the movie. So what's the big deal?
It's very much a like. I think because like I said, I think it's a personality thing. I really do. Some people want to just be around people. Others, they feel like certain activities you can only do, or they
With
only
somebody?
feel like they can only do it with somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, okay, another example. Last night, I had friends over, right? I had friends over. I'm with someone. My other friend is with someone. We've been best friends since middle school,
Okay.
right? And she did not bring her boyfriend with her, but she was on the phone with him from time to time. But the reason she did not bring her boyfriend with her, even though I've met the guy, we've hung out before, really nice dude, he decided to stay home.
Okay.
That's it. He just decided to stay home. So knowing that they have, and they've been together for almost 2 decades. So knowing that they have, number one, the trust. He knows that nothing's gonna happen at my place.
Right.
There ain't nothing crazy gonna happen. We're just friends, and our other friends are just friends. We have that kind of dynamic. We have a brother-sister dynamic, and that's been cultivated over years.
The years of your
You know,
friendship. Yeah.
we've never had romantic feelings for each other. We've never even entertained that. We treat each other like brother and sister. We're even protective of each other,
Yes.
like a brother and sister. Now, I also have had the opposite, you know. But the point is, it's trust
It's
and
trust.
communication.
So, two of the biggest things going into relationships, and I think our conversation today has been about self, and it kind of intertwined into relationships, which is good. But two of the biggest things for anybody, I would let me speak for myself, is honesty and communication.
Honesty and communication.
Because once those two things break down, what do you have? And then I feel as an adult, what do you got to lie to me about?
Like-
and I say that even if you're being sneaky or you're doing something, and don't lie, because at the end of the day, it's going to hurt if you tell me up front, and it's going to hurt if I find out through another avenue. So
Yeah.
let's just be honest and communicate. We would just be in such a better state.
Yeah, but you also got to be honest. You got to also be willing to be honest with yourself too. Like,
Again, back to being your own best friend.
Back to being your own best friend. Like, do you really know you? Like, the reason why I was comfortable enough to be in a relationship now as now a 36 going on 37-year-old, as opposed to where I was just a couple of years ago, right? I had to stop and realize, like, a couple of years ago, I tried to go out with someone that was a friend of mine, right? And it did not work out. Now, we were never exclusive. She was 100% with me.
Okay.
I will say this. Yes, it didn't work out like I thought it was going to. We never ended up being in a relationship. She told me straight up that she had other people that she was seeing.
Okay.
She told me that straight up. She also told me that she was very surprised about how I treated her. Right? She was very surprised about how I treated her because I was
Past relationships, or
I guess that would be my guess.
so you were being a gentleman on a different level than what she was used to seeing.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it was the way I was taught to treat
Right.
people.
Open
You
up those doors.
Yeah, and it's not even just the fact that she was a woman. My thing is, I open doors up for everybody.
Okay.
So my thing is, I open doors up for everybody. I've gotten compliments from both men and women of different ages. Because my thing is, look, sometimes people just want to be acknowledged, and sometimes they just need a little bit of help. You know what I'm saying? Just like people helped, just like people helped me, I just want to give something back. Now, before with my friend I was trying this with, she also, like I said, she was 100% honest with me,
Okay.
and it just did not. It did not turn into what I thought it was going to turn into at the
Right.
time. So I ended up taking a 2-year break. The pandemic helped in my case, because I sat down with myself. I sat down with myself and thought to myself, what do I want
you
for
want?
me before
Allow somebody else to come into your space.
Exactly. And then unexpectedly, I met the person I'm with now.
Okay.
Both of us were on that same path, you know?
Nice.
And,
Nice.
now it's like, we talk about that all the time, the sense of self, the knowing of self before you, because I'm not trying to rely on someone else for the stuff that I need, and I don't want them to 100% rely on me either.
When you say that, you mean relationship wise. You're not depending
Relationship-wise,
on somebody
I am
else.
not. No.
Right.
I am not. I've come a long way.
Okay.
Being just trying to be independent, but at the same time, I just want someone to be comfortable with me and want to be vulnerable with me, and me be vulnerable with them.
And that's awesome.
And
that's
the-
awesome.
and that's the thing. Some people my age or younger may think differently.
Right.
and
It's individual. Whatever
it's
works for you.